And they're off. Quick beginning for American Grit, straight to the source on the far outside, has speed. They're joined by Boomer Justice, who comes through now to be within a half length of the favorite. We Gonna Have a Good Time is fourth, 3 lengths off the lead. Then it's a gap of 4 to the next flight, headed by Agador Spartacus inside Curly Isa, and Norwester is at the back of the field. 8 lengths behind front-running American Grit, who's ridden along to have the lead at the 3/8 pole. Boomer Justice a length back second, followed by Straight to the Source on the outside, who now moves clearly into second. Boomer Justice back to third and losing ground. We Gonna Have a Good Time. Curly Isa fifth, 6 lengths off the leader, followed by Agador Spartacus. Samba Flavor is next, and 3 more to Norwester. A quarter to go, and Straight to the Source makes a big move for the lead, and Straight to the Source cruising along. American Grit is back to second with a furlong left to go. We Gonna Have a Good Time is in third. It's Straight to the Source pulling away. We Gonna Have a Good Time moving into second. American Grit back to third. Straight to the Source. A convincing score by 2.5. We Gonna Have a Good Time clearly second best. American Grit third, followed by Norwester up for fourth. Agador Spartacus completes the super high five. Kick off the new year at the Great Race Place with a special. They're in the gate. And they're off. Tardy beginning there for Tap It Down, who's far back in the early stages. It's a quick one for Phosphorescence in the center, leading it by just ahead, with Nielsen pressing through the early stages and Johannes coming through 3 virtually across the course. Midnight Taxes is fourth, followed by Sir Pistolero now taking the 4th spot. It's a gap of a half dozen or so to the next flight, headed by Valiancer inside Don't Test Your Luck. 4 more to Lasmo on the outside of Duran. Then it's a distance back to Street Mogul and Tap It Down. Can't get much more strung out than this as they come to the quarter pole. It's Johannes in front, now pulling clear a length and a half. Phosphorescence second. Midnight Taxes is coming through along the inside to get into the thick of things as they straighten up for home. It's Johannes who has built up a 5-length lead. In the center of the course, Valiancer is finishing with interest. Phosphorescence, Midnight Taxes, but it's lights out for Johannes. Johannes sparkles home, striding out to win by about 9 lengths. What an effort. Second goes to Valiancer in a photo over Phosphorescence. Then it was Midnight Taxes, and the photo to complete the super high five involved Duran and Don't Test Your Luck. Course. Midnight Taxes is fourth, followed by Sir Pistolero now. They're in the gate. And they're off. American Refugee, Can't Beat the Rock. American Cat up close in the early going. And Encode comes through at the rail now to take second. Behind them, it's Bright Leaf in the green, 5 lengths off the lead. The 2 trailers, Street Art and Oncoming at the back. American Cat leads them onto the main track, has it by a half length to Encode second. American Refugee tracks while 3 wide third. Can't Beat the Rock is 4 lengths off the leader. Bright Leaf inches up just inside of him, a length back to Street Art and Oncoming. American Cat takes him into the far turn with a narrow advantage over Encode. 2 more American Refugee clearly third as Bright Leaf moves into fourth. Then Can't Beat the Rock 5 lengths off the lead, Street Art and Oncoming. They have a quarter of a mile to run. It's American Cat, prominent every step of the way. At the rail, and Code is keeping pace. They'll arrive at the top of the stretch together with American Refugee in third, and Brightleaf is just behind them, followed by Street Art, a final furlong to go. American Cat and Code behind them. Brightleaf moving up toward the inside, followed by American Refugee. American Cat keeps going. Brightleaf, a final try on the inside. It's going to get close, and Brightleaf got up to nail American Cat and prove best. American Refugee was third. It's a battle for fourth between Can't Beat the Rock and Street Art. They'll be at the gate in 20 minutes at 2:51. They're in the gate. And they're off. Quick start for Buy American. Catarini is up and on the pace, and Missing Penny on the far outside is quick too. Here's Real Fire moving through to take second between rivals, and Kaylin Diana is about 5 lengths off the leader. Then comes Amage. Albayadir is racing in mid-pack, racing on the inside of Saddle Up Jesse with about a half mile left to go. Olivia's Choice is on the far outside. That group is followed by Albayadir, who's lost a couple of spots. Agree to Settle is second to last, and then Above Suspicion at the back of the field. 10 lengths covers them rounding the far turn. It's Missing Penny by a head, getting pressure from Real Fire, who's up to take the lead. Real Fire joined by Catarini, and Catarini makes a big sweeping wide move to take the lead at the top of the stretch. Real Fire is asked to respond. These two have pulled 3 lengths clear with a furlong left to go. Albayadir is in the center of the course, and down at the rail, Buy American. Catarini takes off the final furlong and blows the field away. Catarini and Armando Aguilar winning by 3.5 lengths. Real Fire second, Albayadir Above Suspicion from last, and then Buy American. With no Golden Gate Fields, 20 minutes to the start of the late Daily Double. Doris May to the outside. They're in the gate, and they're off in the Las Flores. Very even beginning. Manarelli and Doris May are vying for the early lead. Handicapping just behind them in third, and Violent Runner fourth, now taking third between horses, just 2 lengths off the lead. Lady T is on the far outside. Down at the rails, Samurai Charm with Lexington Humor between them, and another 3 to Classical Romance. They head past the half-mile pole. It's Doris May and Manarelli on even terms. A length and a half, Violent Runner with the orange sleeves, joined at the rail by the favorite Samurai Charm, who's fourth and 3.5 off the lead, being pushed along at this stage. Lady T is just outside of that pair, making some progress. Another 2 back to Lexington Humor, who's 4 in front of Handicapping and Classical Romance. They turn for home, and Doris May running a big one. Doris May turns for home just in front. Manarelli matching strides at the rail. They've been together throughout, and they come toward the 16th pole together as one, with Lady T and Samurai Charm third and fourth. Here's Lady T, and Lady T kicks it into high gear the final stages and will win the Las Flores going away. Manarelli outgamed Doris May for the place. Samurai Charm was fourth. Battle for fifth included Lexington Humor. By our racing office, rescheduling post as the rain coming down in SoCal to close out 2022. And they're off in the 2022 finale. Verrat is hustled out for the early lead. Law Abiding has plenty of early gas and is rushed up too. And Commander Kai is in between them quicker than both and takes the lead. Square Cat, fourth in the early going, just 3 lengths off the leaders, followed by Exceed Speed Limit, who's in fifth. It's a length and a half to Do It for Andrew, who's on the outside of Creative Peak with less than a half mile to go. 2 more lengths, Love Sick Blues on the inside of Altruist, who is now about 10 lengths off the leader. Outside of them, I'll Stand Taller is next, and then it's another 3 lengths back to Code Duello at the back of the field. They're coming toward the quarter pole. Commander Kai on the outside, and Law Abiding continue to do battle up top. Verrat, who broke well, had a beautiful trip and is now coming after them in the center of the course. A furlong from the finish. Law Abiding narrowly. Center of the course, Verrat far outside. Do It for Andrew coming alive in the late stages, and Do It for Andrew will come after Verrat late. Verrat has a 2-length lead, and from the clouds, here's Code Duello. Code Duello, perfectly timed under Kyle Frey, runs them all down. Verrat lost an absolute heartbreaker. Behind them, it was Do It for Andrew, Love Sick Blues, Exceed Speed Limit, tried to get into the super high five.
Well, good morning, everybody. For those of you on the West Coast, good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast, and wherever the heck you happen to be. This is Quigley's Corner here at beautiful Santa Anita Park. And on behalf of First Racing, I'd like to welcome all of you. I am Peter Lurie. I will be playing the role of Tom Quigley in tonight's performance. Tonight's performance, also playing the role of Jeff Siegel, will be, of course, Jeff Siegel.
You're not dressed for the occasion, though. If you're Tom Quigley, you got to wear those Hawaiian. You're dressed like
me,
like you. You don't look like Tom, but you'll do a good job filling in, and hopefully I'll do something that is worthwhile.
This is a pleasure. You and I haven't worked together in years, honestly.
That's right.
Since old days.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean I don't get that much TV coverage anymore. I do most of my stuff online and through the written word. But when they asked me to do this weekend, because Tom is out sick, I jumped at the occasion.
Yes,
you were on the list. I said, "Well, count me in."
I said it was funny because then I actually saw a recording of it, and they said, "Well, Pete's going to be working." You went, "Well, all right, fine." Anywho, let's talk.
That's what I thought. I didn't say it.
That's true. That's true. I could see it in your eyes. What we're going to do here is we're going to be talking about the whole card, 10 race card. We're very, very happy. We're up and running. And by the way, fast on the main track, good on the turf course. I have to say congratulations out to the track man and his staff who've been working tirelessly for the last 24 hours.
True. I mean, we had a lot of rain. It came actually at the right time. It was towards the end of the card. So they were able to work on it after the races were over. And kudos to the racing office, able to get the grass races in early. Now, there was a situation there where we might not have been able to run on grass towards the later of the card, but the rain was kind of a fast, hard drizzle more than anything else. Then it started to rain, but they worked on it overnight, and they're calling it fast after taking yesterday off. Wanted to work on that. The grass is called good, but our good is usually pretty firm for everybody else. So I'm pretty sure that you can handicap the grass races as if it were firm. And as far as the main track, we'll see. We'll just have to see not the first race because it was on the grass, but we'll see how it plays and whether or not it is a little wet, a little soft. But we'll go to school on that.
We've got, or I should say, you have had your fair share of turf horses over the years. What was your feeling? Now you've done the international way, you've done it here. Do you like it when a turf course has a little bit of give, or does it really just depend on the horse?
Actually, when a course gets too hard, that's like almost an off course because you can have it soft, but then you can have it too hard. And a lot of horses don't want to run on real hard ground, stings their feet. So when it gets really, really fast, as it can, not necessarily here. I think we got the best grass course in America. But when it gets hard and dry other places, you have to look at it and say, some of these horses might not like it. So I do like it when there's a little bit of a give in the ground. That's what grass racing is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be running on a pool tabletop. You're supposed to be running on grass, right?
It's funny you say that because I've heard the term when it's too hard, somebody will refer to as, it's kind of a putting green today.
Well, yeah.
And you don't want that.
It is. And you can tell by the final times. You run a mile in 1:32 and something, it's hard. I don't care what they say. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't realize this. In the old days, like back in the 60s and before that, they used to refer to turf courses that were hard as HD, hard. It was hard, it was firm, it was good, it was soft and heavy, whatever it was. Now, because the racetracks don't like to have their turf course called hard, the racing form, they don't use that designation anymore. It's firm. It could be like a brickyard, but it's still going to be nothing worse than firm.
How dare they? Really quickly, we got about 60 seconds. Okay. I know we've only been in for about a week, but have you seen any trends both on the front and on the turf course?
Seems like the turf course speed has been good. Yeah. Not necessarily you have to go wire to wire, but the deep closers have not had much impact, and I don't know if that's going to maintain itself. You just got to watch the races and make your own notes. I think the main track's been fair, although the universal bias of speed or close to the pace is always going to exist. And the deep closers are going to have some help. But other than that, in terms of the inside versus the outside, I think it's pretty normal.
I would have to agree with you. Real quick, you got a 10-second on each one of them. Frankie Dettori, your thoughts?
All right, I'll write them in a minute.
Okay.
I think he can write. No, but I think the trainers like him, so he will get his mounts.
Kazuchi Kimura, two-time Woodbine champion. What do you think?
I've watched him briefly, not many, and he looks like a rider to me.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's a good finisher.
Sure.
That's what we want to see. All right, we're going to get into this 10-race card in a few moments. However, before we do, we're going to go up to Mr. Francis Miramati and get the changes for our Holiday Monday card.
Good morning, Happy New Year, and welcome to Santa Anita Park. The track is fast, the turf is rated as good, and the rail on the turf is out 30 feet. You can see from the graphic posted, we have some distant changes. The 4th and 6th races to be run at 5.5 furlongs on the turf, and the 8th race will be run down the hillside at about 6.5 furlongs down the hillside turf course. Once again, the rail is at 30 feet. Here are the early changes. In the first, the Grade 3 La Cienega Stakes. Number 4, Lady J, is 1 pound over. Please note, we do have a super high 5 carryover of $10,251. In the second, beginning of the early pick 4, number 8, Turquoise Bikini, the jockey Armando Aguilar. Edward Rojas Fernandez will not be riding today. We have some replacements to be named. Race 3, number 2, Midnight Vow. The jockey is Tiago Pereira and 2 pounds over. 4, Balenciaga Betty, 2 pounds over. Turning to the 4th, scratch number 1, Who's Candy. Note that the 4th will be run at 5.5 furlongs on the turf course. There's going to be a revised morning line for race 4. 5th, number 6, Short Journey. The jockey Armando Aguilar. This is the beginning of the Rainbow Six. There's $192,000 in the jackpot for a single ticket winner. Race 6, distance 5.5 furlongs. This is the start of the late pick 5. Scratch the also eligible 9, Karen with a K. Karen with an I. In the 7th, scratch number 5, Santa Cruiser. 5, Santa Cruiser out of the 7th. 8th, to be run down the hillside turf course at about 6.5 furlongs on the turf. Scratch the also eligibles 9 through 14. Race 9, scratch number 2, Roll On Big Joe. Number 2, Roll On Big Joe is scratched. And in the 10th race, scratch 7, Sarwar. Scratch number 11, Delmo. 7 and 11 are out of race number 10. And those are the early changes. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. We're 58 minutes away from first post to 12 noon. At this time, we go back to the studio. Filling in for Tom Quigley today is Peter Lurie. He is with Jeff Siegel to analyze the card. Gentlemen, it's all yours.
Thank you, St. Francis, for the updates, and welcome back, everybody. This is Quigley's Corner. Peter Lurie, Jeff Siegel. You, of course, know who you are. At least we're hoping that's the case. Jeff, let's get right into it. Starting things off here for the early pick 5, 6.5 approximate down the hillside turf course, the Grade 3 La Cienega Stakes. I didn't think this was an easy one. Maybe you thought differently.
Well, it's not easy. It's never when you're coming down the hill, but which is one of the reasons why I went with Amy C on top, because she's got proven form down the hill. I like that. In fact, she won the Senator Ken Matty last time out. That was back in October, down the hill. She also won a down the hill race back in the summer, a good allowance race. So I know she can handle it. It's a little tricky, and you like to have some confidence that your selection is proven over it. Sometimes they kind of get lost there. Lady Edith is making her first start locally, and so we'll see how she performs, although her New York form is very good now in the Phil D'Amato barn. So Phil's got the first 2, and I would not be surprised if they run 1, 2. Again, Lady Edith, good style for the course. Numbers are fast, knows how to win, and gets Johnny V and, of course, Amy C with regular rider Umberto Rispoli. So I think those are the two for me because they're just, on paper, they're the best, I think.
We see it the exact same way. And again, with Amy C, like you said, when you're dealing with something like this, and this is just my feeling, there's no way to get around a horse that has gone 2 for 2 down that hillside, because, of course, one of the most unique courses you're going to find in North America, and not every horse will take to it.
Well, it isn't even so much the right hand and left hand turn. I think it's the downhill.
Yeah,
a lot of
undulating.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of horses, when they start running downhill, they start breaking a little bit. They're not comfortable. But the ones that have been there and done that, they just kind of fly down. So that's just one small factor.
Sure.
And the other thing is, you see a lot of times when a horse hasn't crossed the dirt, they'll kind of bear right. They kind of lose their bearings.
Right.
But if you've been there and done that, like Amy C has, that's not probably going to be an issue.
Yeah. Also, I remember riders, Richard Migliore always said that the big key to riding a course is, he said, when you got to the head of the lane, you have to already know in your mind, I'm either going inside or outside, and you got to live with it.
Yeah.
He said, the minute you start waffling, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Second race on the card, 1 mile on the turf course. Again, course listed as good. These are fillies, 3-year-olds going a mile. How'd you see it?
Well, I like foundation when a 2-year-old, or any horse actually, stretches out for the first time. I have an old angle that I use, 2 sprints and a stretch out. And Nivan actually has 3 sprints and a stretch out. So that's probably going to help her take control early. She certainly looks like she has the speed to be the controlling speed. There is some speed drawn inside of her, depending upon what they want to do with Love Our Family, who's got some sprint speed as well. But Nivan's coming out of some decent sprints. With Candy right on the bottom of the pedigree, she should be able to stay a mile. And I always say, if they don't want to go a mile, they will the first time anyway.
Right.
So I think Nivan looks tough here, either on or near the lead, or on the front end, or in a stalking position. The other horse I want to throw in is number 9, Point and Shoot, who was 53 to 1 in her debut. I didn't think she ran that badly in her debut at Del Mar going long. She did, got shuffled back early. She didn't break well. She lagged. She stayed on pretty nicely in the final furlong. She didn't have any great blast, but she was at least moving in the right direction. And so I have a hunch that this is a filly that is going to move forward off that race, and she will be running on late. She's kind of slow in one pace, but sometimes if the others can't get the trip and you can win. So I'm going to go 5 over 9, Nivan and Point and Shoot.
Mentioned with Diego Herrera riding the 9 Point and Shoot. What's your thoughts on him? Not every apprentice makes the transition here in Southern California as a journeyman.
It's tough. I mean, he's a good rider, but there's nine of the others that have a better rep and a better resume, and they're going to get the pick of the litter.
Right.
So he has to make every one of his count, because he doesn't get as many live horses now, naturally, as he did when he was getting the weight.
Do want to mention, by the way, Armando Eduardo Rojas off his mounts today. So the 8-horse Turquoise Bikini make the rider Armando Aguilar. He is an apprentice, but since they didn't set up with one, no apprentice allowance in this race.
Got to do it at entry time.
That's what I hear. Third race on the card. Here's one you don't see too much in Southern California, but I'm glad they're putting this in. Maiden optional claiming 62,500 going 6 furlongs.
See, what this allows trainers to do, or owners, is to run a horse without running it for a tag,
protect,
and not have to worry about a $500,000 Baffert horse in the race. This is the anti-Baffert. You can't run in this race. You got enough races to win on your own, so you don't need this type of rule or angle. And that's actually a good opportunity for number 1 on the program, Filthy Fast, who I have a hunch is actually well named here, even though they only gave 24 as a yearling. She makes her debut in the best kind of race for her, which is so they can run her without worrying about losing her, but they don't have to worry about the Baffert, right? Mm-hmm. So Filthy Fast is a very nice filly, I think. I think she's trained very well. And in watching her work out here, this was a 101 solo work for a 2-year-old filly. And she's never really going to be asked at all, Pete. She's going to be just very light coaxing only. That's a good time on this track by an unstarted 3-year-old filly without company. Mm-hmm. And she also has a 46 and change bullet work, fastest of 47 back in early December. So that she has speed. There's no real reason to have her show it. We know she has it. This is a foundational work. She's 2 to 1 in the morning line with Maldonado. Obviously, when you're talking about a first-time starter, you're always worried about the rail coming out of the gate. But if she breaks run in this race, in which you look at the others in the field, there doesn't seem to be anything in the race that is particularly fast. So I think Filthy Fast is going to win this race. I really do. And I don't know what price she'll be, but she didn't fool John Wright, who listed her at 2-1. And I wouldn't be surprised if she goes a little lower.
That's interesting too. Yeah, I've always been nervous about those first timers on the rail trip, but again, it's Luis Mendez. I know these are not 2-year-olds, but anything that's a first time starter, you know his MO. Train them, get them ready, try to win, sell them.
Well, this is the deal. I mean, he could run her this filly for 50 or 75, whatever it is. He only gave 24, but he protects her. So I think this is a where she belongs. I think she's live, and this is this race, as I say, was written not specifically for Filthy Fast, but it was written for fillies like her.
Yeah, I got nervous. The first 3 races, we have the same horse. Please, racing gods, smile upon us. 4th race on the card. Okay, now here's where the changes come in, and you have to keep yourself privy to this. The 4th race coming up was originally 6 furlongs on the flat turf course. Today, 5.5 furlongs on the flat turf course.
I'm not sure it affects any of the handicapping here. What does affect it, though, was the scratch of the morning line favorite.
Huge.
1 6-5 the morning line. Who's Candy? And I honestly, and I wrote this up in my analysis for Express Bet, which I uploaded before the scratch was announced. This I could see a mile away. You've got a horse like Who's Candy. You've got Beat a Neck and a optional 50. Ran well. Was protected in a Calbred allowance race. Ran well. Finished second. $74,000 purse for that race. Why wouldn't you come back in the same race? Instead, they run him in a $32,000 claiming race with a purse. It's half the purse of the race he just ran second in last month. I mean, you talk about waving, a banner. Hey, my horse is not quite what he used to be or what I thought he was or what he was last time out. And obviously, these kind of horses have to go through a very extensive vet check in the morning to make sure that they're okay. And this horse was scratched. So to me, I mean, now we're left with, okay, we have to re-handicap the race because obviously if Who's Candy ran in this race and was okay, he was going to be 3-5 and probably win. Without him in the race, now it's really, really tough. And in looking at the rest of them, none of whom I like. I can tell you that right now. But I ended up with number 4, Constant Conflict. First off, the claim for Andrew Harris. Claimed them for 16. Liked him enough to raise him to the 32, which means he's healthy. He's run decently at this level in the past. He's got a prior win over this turf course. And with the favorite out, he's got credentials that the others don't. So I'm going to go with by default, Constant Conflict.
Andrew Harris, he's back in the business, and we wish him a lot of luck. He's only saddled 12 horses on the year. He's won with 4 of them. So, again, is it a percentage that I would use? No, you and I have talked about this before. I want at least a sample of 50, whatever you're looking at, to get an idea. But still, it tells you, he's making the most of his opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good spot for him. He's telling me he likes the horse. He's raising him. He could run him back for 16 if he didn't. But he does have, and he's been routing and sprinting, but I think he's, you look at his form and he looks like a horse that wants to settle and make a run. I think this is going to be good for him. So
big difference also between the non-winners of 2 and a 32 open. That's a huge difference.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. This is a non-winners of 2, which means most of these are worth about 16.
Right, exactly.
If that.
5th race coming up. This will be the start of the Rainbow Pick 6. If you've never done it before, very simple. You're playing it. It's a 20-cent wager. If, in fact, you're the only ticket, the pool is yours. If not, you and who else gets the Pick 6 will get a small percentage of it, or a decent percentage. Trust me, it's good. And then it will transfer to the next day of racing.
Yeah, I personally prefer the Pick 3s and the Pick 4s, but if there's a carryover, you could find me there. But other than that, this is a race starting off the 5th race of 10, and so it's the first leg. And in looking at this race, number 7, Miss Commander, daughter of Square Eddie, she was second in her first start at this level at Los Al. But the number that you're in the speed figure, even being beaten 7 lengths, wasn't bad. So she didn't run bad. And she also was 5 lengths clear of everybody else. So if she steps forward for John Sadler, who over a reasonable sample size hits at a very smart 25% with a significant return on investment, you would have to expect that Miss Commander will improve off that race. I don't even think she has to improve that much of all, if any. She's right back at the same level, but I think she will, and she's 3-1 in the morning line. So I like number 7, Miss Commander, and I like her to beat number 5, Sweet Hello, who's got a bullet work over the training track. No, actually, it's the main track. I'm sorry. Back last week, second in her last start. That was a maiden 32, but she's slower on numbers with 4 races than Miss Commander's only race in her debut. So I think Miss Commander probably has more room to improve. So that's where I'm going.
Makes a lot of sense. 4-horse Miss Colleen, I just wanted to mention, by the way, for Ray Bell, blinkers on and Lasix after 4 tries. That why? Because the horse is a 2-year-old, has not raced since October. So where some people might be saying, ooh, wait a minute, they're doing this. Well, no, it's because you couldn't race for
Yeah,
Lasix.
the whole field's adding Lasix. So they're all in the same boat. Some fillies might need it more than others, but we don't know about that. But Miss Kaline has got a form that would probably have to be improved upon, but the blinkers on. She's worn them, though, 2 races back, so I don't know if that's a big deal or not. But in a race like this, if you improve just this much, you got a shot.
You might be winning.
Because there's not a whole lot in here.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And by the way, Hector Palma has the 6 short journey. Again, Eduardo Rojas off his mounts today. Armando Aguilar picks up again, no apprentice allowance. He's taking them out regardless. Okay, 6th race on the card. Kicks off the late pick 5, everybody. Again, we're doing this 6.5 furlongs originally on the turf course on the flat, staying on the flat, moves a furlong shorter to 5.5.
Yeah, I don't think that, again, is going to affect anything here, other than I do think Lucky for You, who has got some speed. I mean, she's literally outworked everything that they've worked her with without her being asked. Now, she's a 4-year-old, finally making it to the post, so she's obviously had some issues. $400,000 wheeling purchase, Bob Baffert, beautifully bred. She's a half-sister to 2 stakes winners and another stakes place horse. So, I mean, the pedigree's there. And again, from the rail with Juan Hernandez, I expect her, assuming that she breaks, to maybe even be in front here. This is a race that doesn't look like, among those that are that have run, has a whole lot of speed in it. So I'm hopeful that Lucky for You breaks running, and if she does, I don't see any reason why she can't wire the field.
It's interesting, too, because speaking of trainers who just detest the rail, Bob Baffert is one of them. In fact, over the years, you think of some of the champion horses he had. Looking at Lucky comes to mind. It seemed like every time he'd get into a race, Baffert joked about it. I'm paraphrasing. He said they would go to the draw and he would say, just give me the rail. Let's just get it over with. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I don't think going 5.5. I mean, my theory about this is if you got a first-time starter, if they're not gonna break, they're not gonna break from the 1 or the 5 or the 8. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But if you do break, especially if you look at this group here, there's not that much speed drawn near her. She can get up inside. And the other thing about Lucky for You is that in her workouts, she has been working inside of horses. And in every one of the workouts that I saw on XBTV, she'd work with another horse, and the other horse, and she'd always keep clear.
That's huge.
So in watching her, she's used to working on the inside, and she's used to fighting off anybody who tries to come get her. It's exactly what happens here. So I think that the rail is actually good for her. So I like Lucky for You, assuming she likes the grass, and I say she's bred for it. I mean, on the bottom side, there were grass horses there. So I don't think that's going to be an issue.
I thought a must-use in the race, obviously, the 4-horse Cuban Crisis. I wanted to ask you really quickly, Red Baron Barn, Rancho Temescal, the Cohen family, there seems to have been a resurgence of their racing in the last year, almost 2 years.
Yeah, they've done well, for sure. I'm not sure what changed, if anything. Maybe they've got different people picking out the horses than they had before. I don't know. All I know is in Cuban Crisis, on form with Pratt, she's going to get play. Now, she is the kind of filly that I always try to bet against, because she's been beaten as the favorite 3 out of her last 4 starts, 2 of which she didn't even hit the board, and her numbers are sinking. So, yeah, she's going to get play, and she could win, but not with my money.
I get it.
Yeah.
Turn our attention to the 7th race on the card, the late pick 4, 6.5 furlongs on the main track. Okay, these are open 20s, and they are now newly turned 3-year-olds, now 4-year-olds, and upward going in this race. So to me, this is an interesting, can be salty, and it's part of the
This, to me, was a spread race because you've got horses going up and down. You got horses changing barns off the claim. I mean, there's an expectancy here of form reversals one way or the other, which is one of the reasons why I ended up with number 7, Italiano. I mean, he's been claimed a bunch of times, and he's been through some good barns. I'm partial to Jeff Mullins. I mean, his horses generally run better off the claim, and the fact is, he raises him, even though this is a horse that hasn't been out since November. He's out of jail. He could run him back for 8 or 10 if he didn't like him, but he raises him, so that's good. I mean, he must think he's doing well. And this horse has won twice at the track. He's had this will be his 50th start. But again, 8-year-old, he's an old pro, and he's one of several that I'm going to use. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to single him or anything like that. Established against Pratt. Here's a horse that was claimed 2 races back. Was a voided claim last time out, but that was that was in October, so he's had almost 3 months now to get over whatever was bothering and what caused that claim to be voided. Tim Yakteen got him in a spot. I don't think he'd be going after Pratt unless he thought that the horse was fine. Pratt's ridden him before and got run at him, so I like Established. Nice guy. Clay's got inside speed. He could be tough. Next, Revolt just comes off a nice win. When he was outside, though, at Del Mar and got a great trip, I think that trip might have flattered his form a little bit. But, hey, he's coming off a win. He's in form. He's got another prior win over here. So this is the kind of race that if you're playing a pick 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you're playing, just use as many as you can. Because they're all – several of these are capable of winning.
All right. And should mention the 5-horse Santa Cruiser, one of the few outright scratches. We have some also eligibles that have been taken off of the card, but the 5-horse Santa Cruiser for Keith DeSormo and Calumet will not go this afternoon. Turn our attentions to race number 8. By the way, I'm surprised you didn't mention that I used the Siegel binder.
Yes. I see. Now I don't use them anymore because that way I just throw them out.
Right.
So yeah, but that's the way to go.
Somebody asked me about that a couple days ago, and they said, "Why do you do that?" And I said, "Funny story. I saw Jeff Siegel the first time we ever worked together,
right?
And he had them on, and I said, wow, why do you do that?' And then the wind started kicking up, and I saw everything going flying. And you looked at me and went." That's
all right. That's probably why I started doing it.
Yeah. So I've been doing it ever since. Old school all the way.
That's
represent. Right. Let's talk about the 8th race on the card. Another one. Now this is going to be interesting. Originally scheduled 6 furlongs on the turf on the flat, changed to 6.5 furlongs down the hillside. I thought this was an interesting move.
It was, and I wasn't really that happy to see it, quite frankly, for this race because I like number 4, Motorius. I really liked his win at Del Mar. It was going 5/8 of a mile, and he really accelerated and won going away. But he had run down the hill last April and was favored and didn't really fire. Now he was stopped on maybe something happened in that race. I'm not worried about. I'm not aware of. So I'm not going to say that he doesn't like the hill. It's just that there was a race that he'd already had here that wasn't that good. But I loved his win. He's moving up a notch for Phil D'Amato. He's had a really good fastest of 18 on the training track the other day. So I'm going to hope that it's. I would have had a lot more confidence if this was on the flat. Let's put it that way. But it's on the hill. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop. Not going to play him or not going to put him on top. But that's the only reservation I have. Other than that, I think this is one of these D'Amato horses from Europe that took a while to acclimate. Finally has. And there's no reason for me to believe that he won't come back and repeat his last race, in which he got a career top 92 Beyer number, which is better than par for this level, even though he's being raised in class. I like number 4, Motorius.
Jeff, what's your thoughts on the 6.5 down the hillside? I've always been on the impression, at least for myself, that if a horse is going to like 6.5 down the hill, they probably are going to like a mile and the same thing. Do you feel the same way? Yeah,
the milers do really well going 6.5, especially if they've got that turn of foot.
Sure.
The grinding milers maybe not so much, but if you see a horse goes a mile and can kick home from the quarter pole to the wire, almost always they'll translate that form to the hill.
Greatest hill horse you ever saw?
I would have to say it was Baffle.
Really?
Yeah. Pataha Prince back 50 years ago for Bobby Franco was great, but he wasn't as good as Baffle. In fact, I remember those two running against each other, and I remember loving Pataha Prince as a Washington bred horse.
I remember.
And he came to Baffle, who I don't believe had ever run on the hill up until that time. And he came to him in the last 1/8 of a mile. Baffle just rebroke.
Yeah.
And in fact, we have the Baffle Stakes down the hill now, named after this horse, again, more than 50 years ago, because I have never seen a horse, and there have been others, the filly, what was her name? The good filly.
Oh, Cambio Corsa?
Yeah, she was terrific too.
Misdirection.
Right. But exactly. But Baffle, Misdirection for sure. But Baffle was the first one that I saw back back then. So he's the one.
I was definitely a young lad, and I believe it was one of those type of horses anybody could ride. And there were a lot of rides. Howard Grant rode the horse.
Sure.
Wayne Harris rode the horse. I think Jerry Lambert rode him at some point.
The three best buddies.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd hand them off to each other.
I was always a Howard Grant guy. I don't know why. Well, I was a little kid, but for maybe because I was a hippie kid and he had long hair.
Right.
Anywho, call our attention back over to the 9th race on the card, the late daily double. This is also the start of the Golden Hour Pick 4. So, yay. Last 2 races, Santa Anita. Last 2 races, the Golden Gate. Good luck for that. 1 mile, sir. 2-horse Roll On Big Joe is out of the race. How'd you see it?
I see the 2 Baffords here, and I'm not sure which one's better. No, I think Harlow Cap is better, but he's only had the 1 sprint. He ran well that day. That was Spun Intended runaway win. Very fast, highly rated race. Tim's horse that won by 9 on the grass the other day, the Actine, he was behind him. So that race was as fast and as strong as I thought it was. Now he gets the Lasix, obviously, because he's now a 3-year-old. He's trained really well, 5/8 and 59 and 3, Justified Colt. I would like to have seen another sprint, like Navy Man has for Mike McCarthy. And I say that the 2 Baffords, Navy Man's is the McCarthy, not the Baffert. But to me, a Harlow Cap is a colt that I think has a chance to be a serious racehorse as a 3-year-old. And so I like him. Navy Man's got the 2 sprints and a stretch out. So that's the pattern I like. Numbers are solid. He's a horse in watching him run that he's more of a grinder, but I think he'll really enjoy 2 turns, and that's what he's going to get. So those are the 2. Now, Baffert's other horse, Mr. Fisk.
That's the one I like.
Yeah, he's developing. Numbers-wise, he's a fit. He's got the rail, and he's got that, again, 2 sprint. Well, not 2 sprints. He's got the 1 sprint and the mile, but he's going to be a little fitter maybe than Harlow Cap. But I do think Harlow Cap is a better horse. So, again, a races, you can use a couple of them here. Harlow Cap for me and Navy Man will be the 2 I'll use. You want to throw in Mr. Fisk because you like him?
Definitely.
I cannot knock him. I mean, there's nothing negative about him. And so that's how I'll go.
I go Fisk and Navy Man. I like the way Mr. Fisk closed last time out. What is your difference from a handicapping standpoint when their horses make a good occurrence going a mile down at Del Mar and now they're at Santa Anita? Do you pay any mind to that? Or do you say,
yeah, sure. I mean, Mr. Fisk has shown he can run a mile, and he's not going to go out there. See, the first time he ran, if you look at his form, he had speed inside and faded, okay? And Spun Intended was in that race. Johannes was the horse I was mentioning for Tim that came out of the Harlow Cap race, was behind him, and then came back and won by 9. Sure. I know that was an incredibly powerful, highly rated, productive race that Harlow Cap comes out of. So when trying to analyze this race and rate the potential and rate the prospects, and to me, Harlow Cap's the one. I mean, if you ask me who I want to own out of this race, or even before it, Harlow Cap's the colt.
All right. So 9 down, 1 to go, the 10th and final, 1 mile on the turf. These are allowance non-winners of 1 group. This is also the Golden Hour Daily Double. Last race at Santa Anita, last race at Golden Gate. Tread lightly, my friends. It's an interesting race, and I know you've got an opinion. You've also got a work you want to show.
Yeah, I'm going to mention this horse, Teal Magico. A couple of things about him. First of all, I think if you play this horse, do it in the rolling exotics, either the rolling doubles, the pick 3s, pick 4s, because you probably will have a much better chance if you do that, getting close to his morning line of 6 to 1, than if you wait and play him straight in the last race, because he's not going to be 6 to 1. Here's a horse that ran an unbelievable race last time out at Del Mar. He had a bad box, bad post. He was 3 to 4 wide every step of the way, never got covered, made this huge run, fanned out badly in the stretch. And instead of flattening out, he kept coming. It was an amazing race. Then, since then, we have a workout that I want to show. He's chasing a pretty good horse named Master Foxhounds, and he's the horse behind. And Master Foxhounds is going easy, right, Pete?
Right.
Look at this is Teal Magico on the outside. He's gobbling him up under a stranglehold. Now, remember, this work just was last week. He's going to go by this stakes horse like he's standing still and under wraps, and he's going to go in 59 and flat. So, I mean, that's a horse that not only is he sharp, not only is he good enough not only is he fast enough, but I don't think he's even been better than he is now for this race.
Yeah.
He's got the rail, not the outside. He's going to save ground, and he's 6-1 against the same horses that he just ran second to. So to me, Tio Magico is the gamble of the day. Don't expect to get 6-1 on him.
It's funny because I have the same one on top, and I wrote down on my little notebook, there is no, and I wrote no way, exclamation point, you're getting 6-1. I think everybody else can see what we can see.
Right.
The only thing that might cancel out is the fact the horse is 0 for 5 on the year of 22. Maybe.
Well, that's
Maybe.
true. That's true. That's the only thing that maybe will prevent it from being shorter than that. But you know something? I'm going to be alive to him I'm guaranteeing myself I'll be alive to him going into the last race and whatever rolling exotics I play. So he can go off at 3-5 for all I care.
I already bet on my first bet account. Okay. Siegel, I had a ball. Absolute ball. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Doctor.
Doctor and doctor.
And doctor. That's going to do it for us. We're going to come back on. Remember, we're getting ready to go. 30 minutes to post to the opener. And again, welcome to a Monday at Santa Anita. You have watched Quigley's Corner.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good morning and Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. Here are the changes. The track is fast, the turf course rated as good, and the rail on the turf is out 30 feet today. We have some distance changes that have been shown on the television monitors quite some time today. We'll go over them again. In the first, we have a super high 5 carryover of $10,251. Number 4, Lady J, carries 1 pound over. This is the start of the early pick 5. In the second, number 8, Turquoise Bikini, make the jockey Armando Aguilar. Race 3, number 2, Midnight Vow, the jockey is Tiago Pereira. 2 pounds over. Number 4, Balenciaga Betty, 2 pounds over. Fourth will be run at 5.5 furlongs on turf. Scratch number 1, Who's Candy? Morning line maker John White has revised the morning line, and it's posted. The fifth starts the Rainbow Pick 6. There's $192,000 in the jackpot pool for a single ticket winner. Number 6, Short Journey, the jockey Armando Aguilar. Race 6 to be run at 5.5 furlongs on turf, beginning of the late pick 5. Scratch number 9, Corinne with an Eye. In the 7th, scratch 5, Santa Cruiser, late pick 4 begins with the 7th. 8th will be run at about 6.5 furlongs down the hillside turf course. Scratch the also eligibles 9 through 14. In our 9th race, scratch number 2, Roll On Big Joe, the Golden Hour pick 4 returns, covering the last 2 races from Santa Anita Park and combining them with the last 2 from Golden Gate Fields. And in the 10th, scratch 7, Sarwar, scratch 11, Delmo. Note that number 10 will run. The Golden Hour double starts with the 10th. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. They'll be at the gate for race 1 in 25 minutes at 12 noon. Keep in mind, the 4th will be run at 5.5 furlongs on the turf. So will the 6th. And the 8th race will be at 6.5 furlongs, the about distance of 6.5 furlongs down the hillside turf course.
We're ready for the start. They're off.
He's going to go all the way. Very impressive in the last Cienega. Misdirection, chasing her gamely. Misdirection, coming late. Misdirection with a late run. And she's done it again.
Belvoir Bay in the blink of an eye takes the lead at the top of the stretch. It's Belvoir Bay to win the La Cienega.
And for the very first time in 2023, I'd like to welcome everybody to Santa Anita Park, the great race place in Arcadia, California. I'm Michelle Yu, joined on the desk by Jessica Pfeiffer. The rest of the team in the field today, Millie Ball, Peter Lurie, and of course, Zoe Cadman. And Jess, we get to kick off this 10-race program with a stakes race, the Grade 3 La Cienega. They're going to be coming down the hill. And before we jump into it, do want to remind you guys at home, we did have some overnight rains a couple of days ago, so our turf course is listed as good. And do note the distance changes in several of our turf races today. We'll walk you through those as we get to them, but they are available on santanita.com as well. So Jess, diving into here, the 6 is the favorite. I have to say, I agree. I like the 6 in this spot as well.
I do too. There's some really good horses in this race. I thought it was a very salty stake race to start the day. And number 6, Amy C, has been really consistent. She won down the hill last time very impressively. She's actually undefeated going down the hill. So that's a really good point to start off this card.
Yes, looking at her coming out of the Senator Ken Maddie last time out off of the break. In your opinion, she's run fresh for me before. I think that it's great. She had a little bit of a break. Was this an intended break to get ready and get her fresh?
I think so. I think just that little break got her fresh. And, there's a few horses in here that have had little breaks. And I think that sometimes that helps these fillies that have run consistently throughout the year just get a little break before they run into another Grade 3 stake race.
Let's look at the 5, Brooke Marie, shipping in here for Eddie Keneally. This filly's only run at Santa Anita one time, and it was a victory in the Grade 2 Monrovia, going down the hillside turf course earlier on this spring. Does it deter you at all that her form going into the Monrovia was better than the form she brings into the stakes today?
A little bit. However, she has been facing really tough company. Her last race, even though she did finish 7th by 4 lengths, Caravel won that race and ended up going on to win the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So it just shows that she's been facing a lot tougher horses. But she has won down the hill, which a lot of these horses have, and I really like that.
Looking at the 1, Burgoo Alley, she's getting no respect right now. Phil D'Amato, Flavien Prat, they team together at just a measly 32%. 4-1 in the morning line, 8-1 right now. Are you surprised that she's sitting here a little chilly?
No, not really, because her form has not been the best of late. However, I've always loved this filly, and she always trains really well. So it just kind of deters me a little bit that she's always trained so good and hasn't run as well as she
You have a nice term for that. It's called morning glory.
Yes, she has been a little bit of a morning glory, but I think she just needs to step up here where horses are being consistent runners as of late, and she has not.
Talking about her, she was entered in a race earlier on this week. They opted for this spot. Did Dad tell you why?
I think this was just kind of an easier spot when it came up. She was ready for that race, and it's only a few days apart. I just think this was a better spot for her. Maybe the distance looked a little better as well, cutting back. Another one that I wanted to mention was the number 3, Lady Edith. We got her from Christophe Clement. By saying we, I mean the Philip D'Amato barn, and she has been training really strong. She gallops really strong in the morning. She's very forward, and so I think you'll see her a little bit forwardly placed today.
Yeah, she looks like she was kind of forwardly placed in several other races. And like you mentioned, she has a couple of good breezes here at Santa Anita. For me, it's important that horses coming in from out of town get a work over the main track. I don't necessarily know if it means anything when it's a turf horse, right?
Yeah, I think just getting here and being here for a few weeks, she's really adapted well to Philip D'Amato's system, and I think she should have a little bit of a shot here. And she's morning line 3-1, same as she is right now, and I think she has a little bit of a shot. But like I said, this is a really tough race.
Well, she's getting some attention on the board. She's 3-1 right now. Here's a look at our fillies coming in to the walking ring. You can see Brooke Marie on her toes. I thought she walked over beautifully. She still looks nice here. I can't believe she's 7. A lot of times when horses get 7, 8, 9, they start to look like older horses, she looks very spry.
Exactly. And I mean, she just turned 7 yesterday, so she's a newly 7. But yeah, I thought a lot of these turned out really well. The number 7 for Neil Drysdale was the best turned out. She looked really well, and she's run down the hill a few times. She's won down the hill, so I would even give her a little bit of a shot as she is 19-1 right now.
For sure, I would use her in your exotic. She's coming off a third place finish in the Catherine Crosby, where she hit the front and then got beat by bipartisanship. Cutting back in distance going to be a big plus for her. And personally, I love a horse on a turn back that just gives them, in my opinion, the extra fitness, the extra stamina that you need.
Exactly, and the downhill fits really well for that. A lot of these fillies have either won down the hill or are turning back from a longer distance, and I think that'll help quite a few of them in here.
All right, going to be fillies and mares making their way out to the turf course to kick off this 10-race Monday card. Don't forget, if you're on track, it's dollar day. That's dollar beers, dollar sodas, $2 hot dogs going to be around. The Grade 3 La Cienega coming up in just 10 minutes, 9 to 5 on your current favorite Amy C., one of several from the barn of Phil D'Amato. And the next thing you see will be Jeff Siegel's First Glance.
Jay Cohen wishing a happy birthday to all the horses who had their birthday yesterday, and calls them onto the track for the Grade 3 Las Cienegas at about 6.5 furlongs down the hillside turf course, which is labeled as good. The rail on the turf out 30 feet. This race begins the early pick 5. We also have a super high 5 carryover of more than $10,251. Post time for the opener is in 9 minutes. Here's the field. Number 1, Burgu Alley, owned by Agave Racing Stable and Living the Dream Stables, trained by Phil D'Amato and ridden by Flavienne Pratt. 2, Freedom Flyer, owned by Marcia Nafee, trained by Leonard Powell with Frankie Dettori. Number 3 is Lady Edith, owned by Abundanza Racing and Aldaba. Phil D'Amato trains, John Velasquez rides. 4, Lady J, is owned by 82 Highlanders and Simonovich, trained by Librado Barosio with Ryan Curatolo, the jockey. 5, Brooke Marie, is owned by Castleton Lions, trained by Eddie Keneally with Juan Hernandez. Number 6, Amy C, is owned by Madicat Stables, Dub and La Penta. Trained by Phil D'Amato with Umberto Rispoli. 7, Royal Address, owned by Marcia Nafee, trained by Neil Drysdale. Joe Bravo's up. And rounding out the field is Countess Rosina, owned by Red Baron's Barn and Rancho Temescal, trained by Jeff Mullins. The pilot is Hector Berrios. They're heading to the top of the hill. Post time for the Grade 3 Las Cienegas in 7 minutes. Early pick 5 pool approaching 400,000. Super high 5 pool with that $10,000 carryover currently sits at 23,000 and growing.
Happy New Year to everybody out there watching. And obviously, this is Brooke Marie, the 5-horse trainer, Eddie Keneally. Eddie, we'd like to welcome you back to Southern California. Happy New Year. All I can say is your horse, very much, I would say she was feeling pretty good down there.
Very good, actually. Very happy with her, Pete, and Happy New Year. Yeah, she's in great form. She seems to like Santa Anita. She's 1-for-1 on the Hillside Turf course. So, yeah, we're glad to be here.
You're just talking about that hillside turf course. She took the Monrovia earlier in the year, which is obviously never a slouch of horses. As far as this field is concerned, is there an ideal spot you'd like to be early with this horse?
Not really. I just leave it up to the break and then the rider after that. I mean, I didn't give him any instructions whatsoever, just to be a good passenger.
She seemed like she was a tad keyed up a little bit down the paddock, but when she came out here, she was absolutely relaxed. Were you surprised at all?
That's her. Yeah, she'll get her game face on while we're saddling. As soon as the saddle is on her, she switches right back off again. So this is routine for her.
All right, Eddie, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time and good luck in the race.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Less than 3 minutes to post time.
Zoe Cadman here on the Hillside Turf course. Just a few minutes to go to post. And if you look behind me, you'll see the rider off the number 7 horse for Hall of Famer Neil Drysdale. That is Joe Bravo off of Royal Address. Now, the gate crew had already mentioned that they will load this one first. She can be a little bit persnickety and not actually want to go to the gate. However, that does not affect her running style whatsoever. She did the same thing the last couple of times she's run, and Joe Bravo knows her very well. So you're going to see Joe. He's got a hold of her and he's trotting right along beside her. 3 members of the gate crew have gone down there to hurry her along. She'll be the first one to the gate, hopefully, and we'll see what she does. But this is common practice for the 7 Royal Address, but she usually doesn't do this quite so far out. It's usually about 100 yards out of the gate. So our gate crew, some of the best in the country, have made their way down there to try and get Royal Address up here for the start. As far as the rest of these, they're behaving very nicely indeed. I thought the 5, Brooke Marie's just getting a little bit hot under the collar for Eddie Keneally, but if my memory serves me right, I feel I've turned a year older as well. This is what she did last time. She got very, very hot the last time she won here at Santa Anita. So not too perturbed about that. I think speed is going to be good on the turf course. As far as how the turf course is feeling, under my feet at least, it feels terrific. Pace makes the race in here. I thought the 2 was on her toes as well. That's Freedom Flyer, Frankie Dettori. His couple of races he's won on this downhill turf course have been in gate to wire fashion. So watch out for Freedom Fire. Fillies and mares making their way up to the gate right now. Joe Bravo getting a bit of a warm up as well. He's trotting along beside his horse and the gate crew. You can see John at the head of the 7 there right now, doing a very fine job of leading her up to the gate. The next voice you'll hear in just about a couple of minutes will be Frank Miramati.
The horses have reached the starting gate. It's post time for the Grade 3 Las Cienegas. Lady J and Countess Rosina will be the last 2. Countess Rosina walking up. And they're off in the Las Cienegas. Quick beginning for Royal Address. Going straight to the front, Amy C., Countess Rosina on the outside. They're joined at the rail by Freedom Flyer. And on the inside, Burgu Ali is also up and on the pace. Brooke Marie is about 4 lengths off the leader, followed by Lady Edith, and Lady J is at the back of the field. It's Freedom Flyer passing the half-mile pole narrowly with Burgu Ali coming through at the rail. Royal Address with the blue cap is just a length off the pace, 3 wide in third. And down at the rail, it's Lady Edith in 4th. Amy C. between rivals 5th, followed by Countess Rosina. Just behind them, Brooke Marie is on hold at this stage, and Lady J outside of her. Very compact with a quarter of a mile to go. Burgu Ali, Freedom Flyer, stride for stride. Outside of them, Royal Address is in 3rd. Amy C. with a clear shot on the outside. And widest of all, Countess Rosina, an 8th to go. And Amy C. goes to the front, opens up 2 on Countess Rosina. Freedom Flyer fights on. Lady J splitting that pair. It's Amy C. Amy C. wins the Las Cienegas. Blanket photo. Lady J between Freedom Flyer and Countess Rosina. In behind them, the battle for 5th included Lady Edith. Number 6, Amy C. was first. It's a photo for second. Running time 1:12.76 seconds. Number 6, Amy C. was first. It's a photo for second. The first race to Las Cienegas is official. Super High Five pays $15,000.